Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KidBadger.com here today, continuing our journey on firearms ownership, and today we're talking about dry fire. Let's go ahead and start with, what is dry fire? Dry fire is the application of all of those fundamentals we've talked about up to this point: stance, grip, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control, putting all that together up to and including pressing that trigger back, whether it's a rifle or a pistol, without actually firing a live round. So, going through all of it, except we're not firing a live round. Why do we want to do this? There's three big takeaways. First, we have the ability to have flawless execution of marksmanship principles without external input, meaning we can go through stance, grip, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control. We can work on all of that without firing a live round and having the input of whether it's loud sound or that recoil impulse, any of that. We can isolate what we're doing. Additionally, it gives us the chance to self-diagnose. And lastly, through doing this the right way, neural patterning. So we know, basically training our body, our mind, like, hey, this is how we want to do this, so that when we get to the range and we actually live fire, we already know what's going on. Our body is like, okay, cool, like here's stance, grip, all of these things, neural patterning. So how do we get into it? First thing we need is a space free of distraction. Dry fire, done deliberately, is cognitively demanding. We want to be very focused, very deliberate with it. We don't want any distractions. Doesn't really matter where it is, so long as ideally somewhere quiet, free of distraction. It can be in your garage, bedroom, whatever, living room. If it is in your living room, we don't want our blinds up facing the street when we're going through the practice of dry firing. So use some common sense there, but somewhere free of distraction. Next, whether it is rifle or pistol, we want to make sure we unload our rifle or pistol. Visually, physically inspect, make sure it is in fact unloaded. Then we're going to take the ammunition for rifle or pistol. We're going to remove it from the area. So if maybe we're dry firing in the garage, we're going to take the ammunition, magazines, whatever it is, take it out of the garage, or consequently, whatever room we happen to be in. We do not want to have any possibility of actually pressing the trigger back with a live round. Something to be aware of is, depending on the type of gun, usually some pistols, as a safety feature, they'll have a magazine disconnect. What this means is, if you end up removing the magazine and you press the trigger back, it can't fire. So you're going to need to have the magazine inserted in order to shoot dry fire. So just something to be aware of. When it comes to dry fire, our target can be pretty much anything. Right here I have my Kit Badger anatomy targets, but something that is important is whatever our target is going to be, whether it's a wall outlet, light switch, something along those lines, we want to make sure that the distance we are from it, that whatever our target is, or our point of aim, is approximately the same size as our front sight, whether it is rifle or pistol. So by way of example, I can put this up here, and then I can go ahead and step back to a distance where, in relation to my front sight of this pistol, basically my front sight is just big enough. What that's going to allow is very precise self-diagnosis with respect to my dry fire going through that trigger control. I can now go ahead and work on all of those fundamentals, starting with my stance, my grip, sight alignment, sight picture. Go ahead and refine that sight picture and trigger control. Press through the rear, keep that trigger pinned, charge my pistol, back on target, and feel that trigger resets. And continue this. Because of the relationship of my front sight and my point of aim, it's very precise. So as I'm pulling back, when the trigger actually breaks, I can see if there's any vertical or horizontal movement at all. because it is so precise. That is why whatever we're aiming at, that distance is important to get that relationship right. That right there is allowing me to self-diagnose my trigger control and see if I'm putting input on it to where this is coming off at the last minute when it's breaking in pretty much whatever direction. Everything I just went over stands true for the rifle as well. Opportunity to work on our stance, our grip, present the rifle, sight alignment, sight picture. When we're ready, press through, trigger, pin to the rear. We're going to charge it. We just saw right there, if we have that proper distance with respect to the size of our front sight post to whatever our target is, we can diagnose any movement. We're going to go ahead and get another sight picture, which point let that trigger reset and either continue on or stop there. There are a ton of benefits that come with dry fire. With doing it though, we want to make sure it is very deliberate and we are doing it correctly. Going back to building those neural pathways. To that end also, how much do we want to do? If you can do about 10 to 15 minutes, that would be perfect. Reason being, it is cognitively demanding. If we are being very focused and very deliberate, which hopefully we are, it's demanding. And if you do it too much, you begin to fatigue and now you're not doing it correct and we're building not the right neural pathways. So about 10 to 15 minutes of very focused dry fire will have huge benefits for you. Dry fire with rifle or pistol is hugely beneficial, not to mention cost savings. Time associated with traveling to the range fees, not to mention ammunition. Every time you fire that round, anywhere from 20 cents to $1.50 or more, depending on what you're shooting, gets expensive really quick. And dry fire we can do pretty much anywhere. Allows us to work on those flawless execution fundamentals, being able to self-diagnose, also just familiarity with our weapon, whether it's a rifle or pistol. Being able to get used to manipulating it, all of those are beneficial. But be sure to join me as we continue this series on firearms ownership. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.